Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Autism Stories. I'm your host, Doug Bletcher, the founder of Autism Personal Coach. Autistic people are the true experts of the autistic experience, and Autism Stories is where we interview autistic people to learn from their stories, experiences, and get their insights. If you'd like to be notified about each week's episode of Autism Stories, we suggest you subscribe on your favorite podcast listening platform. We would also appreciate it if you could give us a positive rating and review, as it will help others to learn about autism stories. On today's episode, Mandi Weirdmore joins us to discuss Ehlers-Danlos Awareness Month, and we also discuss what doctors can do to actually help patients with Ehlers-Danlos. We hope you enjoy today's conversation. Mandi, thanks so much for joining me here on Autism Stories.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And I would absolutely love to start our conversation by learning, where does your story in the autistic community begin?
Well, I definitely showed a lot of traits as a child, and I was in special education, but I was late diagnosed because it was written off a lot as social anxiety, mainly because it's not really diagnosed a lot in women for some reason. And I ended up getting diagnosed at 19 because I was in a pain clinic for a month and doctors saw me daily, and that's the only reason I ended up getting diagnosed. So it made so much sense after I figured it out. I really thought I was like an alien for most of my life.
This month is Ehlers-Danlos Awareness Month, and you are doing 31 days of awareness challenges, which were created by the Ehlers-Danlos Society. Why did you decide to do these challenges for all 31 days?
I think it's really important to raise awareness about Ehlers-Danlos because it's really not well known. I'm Maine, I'm based in Maine. There's doctors that don't even know what the condition is, and they'll Google it right in front of me. And I think the most important thing we can do is just share awareness as much as we can so people know what it is. And I'm doing what I can by telling people what it is, what I deal with, and hopefully that will raise awareness.
Has now I know the month isn't over yet, but has there been a specific challenge or two so far that have been particularly meaningful to you?
I really liked the one of finding calm. I drew myself drawing and how I find calm in this sort of mess that is being disabled. With constant doctor's appointments and stuff, it can be hard to find and keep peace. But having that drawing and my escapism, it's like I'm in another world for a little bit. And I liked how I conveyed that.
You mentioned earlier about doctors not being aware of Ehlers-Danlos, and I know this is a fact because I've been to many medical appointments with someone with Ehlers-Danlos, and so often medical professionals have maybe not even heard of Ehlers-Danlos before and will ask the person that I'm with, well, what is Ehlers-Danlos? Which is probably not a good starting point, but okay, that's where we are at that moment. So, what do you want doctors to know about EDS that will actually help you as you go to appointments now and in the future?
Well, starting off with what it is would be a great point, obviously. But another thing is the comorbidities with the disease. It's you have Ehlers-Danlos, but like it causes so many other things because it's a connective tissue disorder. So there's connective tissues everywhere. And it's important to figure out what other disorders there are so they know how to properly treat us. Because I mainly struggle with gastroparesis, which is a partially paralyzed stomach. And they're like, Ehlers-Danlos, you don't really have like issues with the stomach. It's all joints. No, there's so much more to it than bendy joints and dislocations. It's everywhere. And I think that's one of the most important things they could know.
Oh yes, it's so much more than that. In fact, the person that I support also has gastroparesis. So, which makes me think about like whether it's online or autistic people I've met in person, it seems like there's more autistic people that might have EDS that is definitely not realized, or people suspect, maybe, when learning about Ehlers-Danlos, like, oh, maybe that describes me.
Yeah, there seems to be a big connection. As I share about it, a lot of people are like, that sounds so much like me, because I have a lot of neurodivergence in my following as well. And I'll talk a lot about Ehlers-Danlos, and I'm like, I never heard of that, but that is so me. And I think that's another way I'm helping is spreading it to people who follow me and helping them. And that's really great because that's like my main goal is to help people not feel so alone in that.
Now, you're an artist, and another challenge that I saw that you've done on your social media was the a totally different type of challenge, is the 20 different art styles challenge. What did you learn about yourself doing this challenge?
Well, I mainly started the challenge just to like have a more cohesive art style because it's important to be consistent with your art. And I thought it would help me improve. And I like to challenge myself a lot to help myself improve as much as possible. And that's an important thing about challenges is they help you improve.
Was there a particular art style that you like learned that, oh, this might be something I want to do more often?
Probably like the more realistic ones, like the Spider-Man, but I've always been obsessed with Spider-Man, so that's probably why more specifically.
Mhm. Now, seeing on social media that you've been involved in multiple challenges, it seems like maybe challenging yourself may be an important thing in your life. How do you go about deciding what challenges to attempt on in your life and maybe ones not to attempt in your life?
Well, I try ones that would be interesting, but that's mainly what I do is look and see what's the most interesting one to do. Though ones that have to happen every single day are really more challenging because Ehlers-Danlos is a dynamic disability, so I never know how I'm gonna feel until that day. And so the daily challenges, I usually don't do those as much, but I'm doing the Ehlers-Danlos monthly challenge, so I can't say I never do those. But for life challenges, you don't really get to choose those. They just you kind of they come at you whether you like it or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And lastly, how can our listeners learn about you and your art beyond this episode?
I'm pretty much everywhere on social media at Mandi Weirdmore, as well as I sell my stuff on Etsy and Disabled Individual on YouTube. I know what it's like to be really alone and not understand other people, and I don't want other people to feel alone. So hopefully it helps them.
Definitely. Well, Mandy, it was wonderful to get to know you, and I will continue to follow you on social media on Instagram, and look forward to what you share in the future.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much to Mandy for the conversation. To learn more about Mandy, please check out the link in the podcast description for this episode. Did you know Autism Personal Coach provides neurodiversity affirming support by autistics for autistics? We empower autistic adults and teens to lead self directed, purpose driven lives through customized life coaching and community groups. Our distinct approach prioritizes each client's unique goals and preferences, fostering a sense of agency and promoting self advocacy. Coaches work collaboratively with clients to develop personalized strategies and tools that can help with executive functioning, emotional regulation, relationship building, stress management, and more. We also support parents and partners of autistic individuals by providing insights and guidance to bridge communication gaps and nurture mutual understanding. With our accessible remote services, individuals from any location can receive the assistance and mentoring they need. Join us today to experience judgment-free coaching rooted in empathy, expertise, and respect for autistic identity. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Autism Stories, and if you did, if you could tell a friend, foe, or anyone else you know about it so they could have the same enjoyable and educational experience as you when listening to Autism Stories. Until next time, I'm Doug Bletcher of Autism Personal Coach. Talk to you then.